Hello, I'm Christopher J. Thompson, and welcome to another edition of Chris Speaks. Okay, today, the St. Anthony, Florida police officer Geronimo Yanez was acquitted in second-degree manslaughter of Philando Castile. And if you don't know who Philando Castile is or remember, he was the man who after telling police that he had a gun on him and that he had the right to have a gun on it because he was a security person, so they won't shoot him. And his girlfriend was recording, live casting it on, Facebook, I believe. And they killed him anyways. When they asked him to get his ID, he pulls it out and the guy shoots him. And this was like, we got all this, and he still gets acquitted. And you hear after he shoots the guy, he's saying, fuck, which knows he screwed up, but the country doesn't know he screwed up. Obviously, the justice system doesn't know he screwed up because he got off, like, for nothing. The jury must have been a bunch of white people, bunch of people who were just all about cops or something, have all that evidence, and feel that he had to kill this guy. Wait a second. You're supposed to tell people you have a gun. You're supposed to tell the cops have a gun if you have a gun, especially if you have a license for it, and it's part of your job, which you did, and you said, and they still killed him because they're being taught in their training that. And it's really, if you want to thank somebody, you can thank Bill Clinton. He may have not he may not have even read the bill he signed, but it's actually the fault of Bill Clinton for signing the Crime Bill Act while he was president. And part of it said that black people needed to be treated harsher and harsher punishments, that simply because they were black, they were more dangerous than anyone else. So that's part of the problem, and they're training these cops to be afraid of the big bad black people, which it's ridiculous. I've actually seen like recent polls that have said that actually white people commit violent crimes at a higher rate than black people, but black people are even more incarcerated at a much greater number. And this is another case showing that police are above the law and that it's all right for the police to kill black people, unarmed black people, or black people that are legally armed and are armed for their job. And he shoots them, and he shoots them with their child in the back of the car, and he should have. And I doubt he was even up for child endangerment. And what was the thing that he had to pull him over? He had a tail light out. So this guy gets murdered for having a tail light out. And society and the system is saying it's okay. And this is what I don't understand. I remember the Rodney King beating, and they said really at the end it was like it was about 35 seconds of them where they went overboard, and that was a serious big deal, a really big deal. Now it's like, oh, they shot an unarmed black guy, or they shot a black guy who wasn't a threat, that told them, I have a gun, I have a license, I came from my job, I'm security. Please don't shoot me. What did they do? They shoot him. And yet, people still don't think that there's a problem. This is over and over and over again, and it's not happening just to black people, but it's happening to black people at a very uneven number than with anyone else. And it's saying cops are above the law. It says, I'm actually surprised it even came to a trial. I mean, usually they don't even get an indictment. And obviously the system doesn't think that Black Lives Matter. Most of the country doesn't think Black Lives Matter, and that's why there's a Black Lives Matter movement. And it's interesting because the very first video I did was about Black Lives Matter. And then that's what became Chris Speaks, because That was just one thing, and then I decided to do anything. So my video that's it was called, I believe, Why Black Lives Matters to Me. And that's actually the original, the very first Chris Speaks, even though it's not considered the first episode. But we're in this thing where people think, and okay, there's been some like people that have been killed by the cops, but not usually. I mean, look at the thing about that guy who attacked the people on the subway, stabbed two to death, and almost killed another one. He was going at the cops with his knife, walking towards them. They didn't even shoot him. They didn't even wrestle him to the ground or anything. They waited until they got him. They didn't do anything. There's video from a couple of years ago of a black guy with a knife who's walking away from the cops, and they shot him in 10 seconds. So this goes into another thing that a lot of, especially Republicans, especially well-to-do white people, don't believe in. What do they call it? White privilege. Well, all that white privilege is saying is the thing that you're treated better by the system than minorities simply because the white race is the dominant, in control race in the United States. And people are like, oh, there's no such thing. Really? Because there's a whole movement, Black Lives Matter, that says the system doesn't treat black lives like they matter, and we need a movement for it. And you go, ooh, those Black Lives Matter, what? They're just whining and bitching. Well, why does it keep happening? Why does it keep happening? And why is there no justice? I mean, at least in this case, it went to trial, so they're doing that much now. But really? Really? He's not guilty? How the hell is the guy not guilty? How do you have that tape, all that evidence, and you're like, well, there's all this evidence, but on the other hand, he's a cop, and the guy blah, blah, blah. And then usually, well, they couldn't find a rap sheet on him. Usually if it's a black guy, they'll be like, he was a criminal. Like the one guy who got shot by the cops because he badmouthed them because the cops stopped him for walking down the street that wasn't busy, who had stolen a cigar, and that was his horrible crime, was that he stole a cigar. Which the cop didn't even know, and the cop shot him, and things. Well, he was a criminal. Okay, so shoplifting is punishable by death, apparently, if you're black. But no, there's not a problem. It's not like we have a problem of black people getting killed by the cops like that one little kid who had a BB gun. He had a BB gun, which isn't illegal, in a state where they had open carry, and they just rolled up on him and immediately shot at him. And this was after the guy says he saw a kid with a gun, but he was pretty sure that it was a toy gun or a BB gun. So they already knew that it was the guy who even called, the poor guy, he probably didn't want the kid dead. I think that's terrible. I would have felt so guilty. But he told them it was probably a toy gun, and they shot him anyways. There was a guy playing with the BB gun in Walmart. I believe it was in the same state. I don't remember what state it was. Playing with it. The cops didn't even say drop it, didn't even give him a chance to do anything. Shot him dead in a Walmart because he was playing with a BB gun that was being sold at Walmart. It's crazy. It's just so crazy. I don't understand how in this day and age this kind of shit can go on. This is the kind of stuff that was going on in the South in the 60s, and you go back as the 40s, it was going on everywhere. Because there was a time that there was segregation all over the entire country. But this is just crazy that we have to be afraid of the cops who are supposed to protect us. And a lot of people are like, well, as long as you're respectful. So, disrespect for a cop is punishable by death. So is shoplifting. Let's see. It's just madness. Just madness. Okay, you can keep saying there's nothing going on and it's just that black people are bad and that's part of the problem, is you're like, oh, well, he's black and he's obviously a thug. It's always, oh, they're thugs or or whatever. But you don't think there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem with law enforcement being above the law, going way too far. We've got this thing of cops being afraid of black people. It's prejudice, it's fear, it's hatred, and it's just not cool. It's like, but if you, the problem is there's a whole group of this, and most of them are conservatives. Most of them are conservatives, and it's a big chunk of conservatives that don't think there's anything wrong with it, that think cops should be above the law, that black people should just not be disrespectful even though they don't shoot white guys for being disrespectful to cops. Hey, you know who shoots people who are disrespectful to them? Gangsters. Gangsters do that shit. So basically, when people say, well, they need to respect the cops, or that's what they get for not respecting the cops, you're basically saying that cops are gangsters, not law enforcement, that they're thugs that kill people who are disrespectful to them. Well, this is why Black Lives Matter, and the reason there's a movement, Black Lives Matter, is because the system and a lot of the people that are so in supportive of the system, even people who hate the system, they think that cops should be above the law and they should be able to act like gangsters doing gangster shit. Well, that's all I have to say about this. I'll see you guys next episode. All right.